I'm Daniël Vandersmissen or Daniël. As an artist I usually operate under the auspices of the IGECC, Intergalactic Recognized Cleaning Company, an imaginary firm within which I framed my artistic activities. January 2023, my current main occupation is creating visual and audiovisual art. I retired September 2020, before I was a pedagogical advisor for part-time art education, mainly visual and audiovisual arts, in Flanders, Belgium, Europe. In this presentation, I explain the intersection of art and virtual reality in the context of virtual worlds of Sansar. Art can be created using both analog and digital means. In my artwork I focus on visual art whether or not in combination with other art forms such as sound, movement, film, and text. In Sansar I did my own experiments with bringing both digital and analog artworks into virtual spaces and by creating installations and virtual movement in those worlds. That way I created 7 virtual worlds that can be visited by everyone in VR, on desktop or other devices. My digital artwork is created by using freeware, Blender, Sculpture VR, GIMP, XP Pen. My analog work is constructed with cardboard, paint, paper, textiles, waste, and whatever material I can find. And of course to create a video or photo I use a digital camera, screen recording, smartphone and so on. The first experiment was Walk Part 1 in which I partially used and rearranged one of the template skyboxes with associated ground cover, vegetation and rocks. Additionally, I added simple objects and vehicles in mostly striking colors. I also used this environment to show my drawings, photos, paintings alongside virtual tryouts of new installations not yet executed in real life or cumbersome, difficult to realize. I made the same choice to use the virtual environment to show my work from real life combined with simulations and imaginary objects for the 2 following worlds, Part 2 and 3. Moreover, for the benefit of the visitor, I placed drivable vehicles and touring objects in every world. And to enable a smooth passage to one of my 7 worlds, I also installed numbered transport gates each time. Here in my second Sansar world, the visitor is presented with a virtual walk, in real life as a real walk, but there also with virtual works of art. The skybox shines over the surroundings with a warm soft glow like a setting evening sun. The photos of the virtual works of art are placed on large boards along the walking route. At the start of the walk, a text explains the project on a glass wall with a hyperlink leading to a digital publication with additional poems, texts and directions so that you can also experience this walk virtually in real life. In the third world you see a skybox with a clear sky above a large lake surrounded by mountains. The decoration is sober with some rocks and an open grassy plain with some small hills. A touring flying rock, accessible by a floating elevator, flies over the landscape with its passenger, offering you an unusual view of the objects from a full flight perspective. This world is littered with mostly impossible installations where objects hang or move in the air. World 4 is the most expansive world bathed in the dim light of a Mars skybox. This imaginary environment includes several interconnected areas next to and below or above each other. The building-like constructions appear to be made of glass. Through this room are corridors and a tube system like a maze where you can run, be carried along on one of the many vehicles or through which you can fly with an object that you can control. Here and there you will find various objects, a strange vehicle museum and rotating propellers. Numerous moving objects, flickering or flashing lights and elevators going up and down give the impression of a busy space station. On the 5th world you live in the universe, in and around a spaceship. The interior and contents of the ship are based on and inspired by the Biomod 13 project of the SEDS Collective in Bruges, Belgium in 2021. The interior space is a simplified imitation of the long and high historic exhibition hall with heavy oak beams in the St. John's Hospital. The ship looks sober, empty and deserted, and has 2 elevators with which you can move to the lower deck. The same desolate feeling predominates all around, on the outside of the spaceship. Here too you will find a few moving objects in the outer space and a space taxi in which you can take a seat for a tour around the spaceship. All vehicles and objects, including the skybox, are self-made in this other world, the 6th one. There is an intimate atmosphere due to the warm colors and the mostly curved shapes. The textures and patterns on the rounded volumes are predominantly floral motifs. The alternation between fully and partially transparent layers offers a surprising view of the skin-colored skybox. As a visitor here you are immersed in a slowed-down world that gently revolves around you. Just like in the previous worlds, you can also take a seat in a vehicle for a round trip. This time you have the choice between a slow short ride or a longer, somewhat faster route. The self-controllable driving objects, sitting balls, and the transport doors to the other 6 worlds are virtually invisible in this world and thus force the visitor to a wandering search. In addition to an intense sense of peace and quiet, this world also gives an impression of disorientation and being trapped in an unpredictability of patterns and color areas. Sitting in one of the 2 vehicles, the tour seems to catapult you uncontrollably through a relentless matter only to be abruptly placed back into a state of forced immobility at the end of the ride. I see this world as a living organism that continues to grow and change calmly, even more than my other Sansar worlds. This 7th world is a simulation and experimentation environment for exhibitions in virtual and/or real space. The gates have been placed in the center of the square, and a little further on you can see a freestanding tree with a full crown under a cloudy sky. The structures around the large courtyard are formed by stringing together copies of the same indoor exhibition space, alternately mirrored. As in some of the other virtual worlds, the construction here is a simplification of an existing building. One of my artworks in real and in virtual life. Some galleries created by other creators in Sansar. The Everyone's Art Gallery. And the Delmarva Gallery. 3 of my creations made in Sculptor VR. The use of virtual environments as a learning place, for art, is in fact the same as in a real-life learning environment. For art education that means, the process of generating ideas, using visual language, and developing a frame of reference, the use of the dialogue, going through a process, the connection with the result and giving the art product a place. Virtual spaces can be used as a 3D self-study place with instructions and tutorials. For example, a step-by-step plan on information boards as you can see in Sansar Training Grounds 101. You also can use manuals, demonstrations and assignments on a video screen, with or without the live explanation, in VR, of a teacher, avatar, or guide. To get an idea of the possibilities you can visit, Digital University, main entrance. And the Sansar World, virtual and augmented reality to enhance learning and teaching in higher education, created by Swansea University, for a roundtable on 28th of November 2018. The realizations and evolutions in my artwork I make visible on Instagram and a website. With openness to dialogue and collaboration. Any interest? Just let me know.